Yes, it is true. There are two or three issues here. First, let me say that the way we sort of started this was actually to talk to panchayats. So in the first instance, it's a co-ownership model that these projects run on. So it's not an outside agency or an outside social organization going into those villages and holding forth wisdom and knowledge. But there is a range of behavioral and training practices that we adopted with the panchayat members and the panchayat leaders, seeking their help to identify these young volunteers that I was speaking of. So, in fact, young women and men from these villages were identified by the village communities themselves as people who would hold out a particular promise, young people who have the fire, quote unquote, the fire in the belly. So that's the way we have gone. Now, these young volunteers, 1,000 of them in both these districts taken together, were then trained into how to work in group situations, what kind of focus group discussions to inspire and to enable, how to approach the issue, particularly with elders, with different groups within of the communities, no, religious groups. For example, in Karoli district, with different with groups of women, with groups of men, with religious groups, both Muslims and Hindus. So how to go ahead and do that? How to sort of talk with the existing power structures within villages? How to talk with boys and girls separately and together? How to talk to school children? How to take their energies and their ideas into, so it's a, in short, it's a participatory process, co-owned, collectively designed, with skills and techniques from the end of social organizations such as ourselves, in terms of processes, in terms of activities to do. So we employed a range of methodologies, from drawings to paintings to posters to conversations, to actually what is called problem analysis, in terms of how do you trace the root causes of discrimination. So that helped us overcome what you just called as somewhat a resistance, um, uh, and it's not that it's gone overnight. So it's not that change happens overnight. So that the data I was sharing with you, or the indicators I was sharing with you, are indicators in progress, and it's not a one-time resistance. So one has to be prepared for an ongoing resistance. I mean, suppose we were tomorrow to take up, and we plan to, in years to come, in times to come, or in months to come, the question of property rights. So when you get into that aspect, one can imagine, and one has faced in other situations, considerable resistance when you start to make a shift, with a call that men and women must have equal share in land rights, or in other forms of property, and that woman must co-own the property and the decision making around it. So at every particular level, social resistance of years of patriarchal practices, I mean, social resistance which comes from years of patriarchal practice, belief in patriarchy, needs to be smashed. And that takes time, that takes effort, that takes, what one would say, staying capacity. And we believe that young people, and therefore we've identified young volunteers. We believe that young people have what it takes to bring almost a new world order, a new social order, with reference to challenging and smashing patriarchy. And I think that's one of the beliefs that we have, and that belief holds out in what's happening in the villages that I was talking of.